Okay, I'd like to call the Dover Select Board meeting to order at 6:30 PM on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. First order of business is public comments. Chief Johnson.
So I would like to introduce Susan Luxinger. She is taking over Shelley's position. She has many years in police having services between Vermont and Alaska. In fact, she'll go through training next week, and she should be in our office sometime around the beginning of October. And I'll let the board introduce some people know that. So.
Go ahead, Joe.
Joe. Joe Mahan.
Sam Valiati.
Vicky Capitani, Sarah Shippey,
Scott Sally.
and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Yes,
Public comments?
yes.
I'd like to say thanks to Scott. You summer in my previous thing. He has come back. I appreciate it. He was the only one that emailed back. So I really appreciate it. If I can listen. And then I have a question. Do we know like when we're gonna be done? I know people want to talk about trails or tired of it, but when are we gonna get that kicking gear here on the Ridge project at the parking lot? Like, what are we thinking? You know, we've updated any idea? Is the parking lot and the material that's out there, what are we thinking? It's been 14 months.
Joe,
Can we leave that to when we get to economic development?
are you okay with that?
Well, no, I mean, can we just?
It's in economic,
It's an
it's
economic
part of the
development,
economic development.
part of some updates.
That
I didn't
actually,
know
that
it
the
is.
bridge trail is not
So-
on the agenda.
It's been on the schedule all summer long, right? We've had some staffing issues in the road department, and then the flooding set us back quite a bit because there was a lot of road repair to take care of, you know. Obviously, we weren't hit nearly as hard as most of the rest of the state, but there was a lot of flooding on our back roads and side roads and things, so I know that derailed the timeline a little bit. That's what I have for an update at the moment. I know that it's on the schedule to be done for this year.
So this year.
Yeah,
The park you
absolutely.
had,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just gonna be that, because when you let you park there, you're trying to like to not trespass, you need that patch. Where you can trespass. I mean, last July, we had the special meeting, but then we had the site visit on the second. And now we're going on 14 months, there's been no updates. It seems like I know, it seems the highway department is churning for people. And we don't have weather, it's more of a climate issue now, with low rats. That's gonna be continuous.
Right.
One's external, one's internal. But it's been 14 months, like it's time. Like in my mind, or just an update to say, you know, it's coming or not. It's a great resource, we can't even, I think it was gonna be in October. We were going through the thing with the stump trumpers, now it's in the spring, so now we're 14 months.
He was prepared to do it, Travis was right before the floods.
Right.
And it just, everything, we've had continual washouts and it's just been a mess. Now we have the pavers here, finally. So, I will make sure we get an update on if he can plans to try to finish it this fall.
Well, that have not gone off the bid.
We're doing it ourselves.
But in lieu of waiting that long, we just have put it now,
We have the box culvert that we ordered, so we have the materials.
I'm aware of it, but we could collaborate with the contractor and just, you know, like. We had the material, I'm saying before, because the materials have been there since the summer, but maybe in retrospect. Put it out the bid, you don't have to take the bid. And then decide, because it meets the criteria, because it meets the criteria, put it out the bid. See what it's gonna be, and go down that way. Now with no bid, we're at the second call of. The highway department that has trouble keeping people and climate, and we could have time. Now we can't do it, but before there was a lot of momentum to get it done. Joe, great, ordered everybody, and then it should stop.
Joe,
You are more than welcome to speak to me outside this meeting. And I'll go through a timeline if you want. There's other issues that are going on with this. It is on our priority list. I asked multiple times, but there's things that are out of our control that we're working through.
So let's put it on the agenda and talk in public. Like, I mean, the next meeting, let's put it out, I mean, I'm not for closed doors, let's put it out there then, or just And so it's not, like, to me, it's not when it's gonna start, when's it gonna get done?
Are we talking just about the parking pad or the whole project?
The parking pad. that's it.
Okay.
Like, the parking pad.
Okay, Joe, do you have anything more to say?
Like I said. Put it on the agenda to talk at the next meeting. I will not be here at the next meeting,
So
but I'm
like,
well versed in it. And so is Eric, and so is Travis. It's not something.
so
that
it's
we
not
are-
the weather, it's not the town personnel we're saying. That's different than what the chair said.
Yes, because I'm not aware of this information
So-
myself. I'm
You
aware.
can get on the same. Let's put it on the agenda for some other meeting. They got the Red Sox game at 8.
Okay.
7:45. But can you do that, but it doesn't seem like this is on the same page, you guys get your ducks, we're all talking about.
Well, Joe is our liaison with that certain, that particular
Yeah,
project.
the liaison to the highway department.
Right,
I
this is a trails thing, and he's been the elite. We
He's the point
designate
person.
him as the point person in this
So
particular
you're
project.
saying if theoretically we could start tomorrow, we can.
If you theoretically can get somebody that can do it. Theoretically, we can start anytime.
Okay, enough, this,
Again,
we will get it on the agenda.
but we appreciate your comment, and we'll put it on the board.
Raise it.
We will-
Okay, no bantering, okay? Do I have to get the gavel tonight? Okay, we will get it on the agenda. We will all understand where the project is. It was my understanding it was weather. If there's more to it, we will find out.
I'm talking about the parking.
I understand,
Because Joe was adamant.
I
We got the
understand.
message.
We will get it on the agenda. Jeanette, would you make sure that's on the agenda for the
My
next meeting?
second question is, do we have an update on the paving inspection? We're in the throes of paving, how is that going? With the inspection and.
Travis is not fully certified as a pavement inspector. He
So
said
we have no paving. inspection?
he's 3/4 of a way through the paving inspection. And has just not had the time to do it.
Because we put that on the agenda last July, I tabled that, I thought it was a
And it wasn't,
$500,000 line item, and it's good quality, we all were in agreement, which is great, for Scott. But that was, so we don't have any paving inspection.
I am not. Nobody on our road crew is doing it, is all I
Are
can
we gonna
say.
get an update on that? I was under the assumption it's happened, but so it's not, because you know what, it's not happening, I assumed it was happening.
He is getting the training, he just hasn't finished
But he's
it.
not certified, we have.
Not yet, he's
We
working on
don't,
it.
we don't know, okay?
So
So
don't know, or we.
I know he's not certified. I don't know if we have another outside inspector.
Not yet.
Because with the certification comes, you could do the aggregate temperature, time and all that, so you have actual receipt to back up a $500,000 purchase when the stuff may hit. So all I'm asking is, I was under the assumption it was a go, sound like it never.
It was a go.
It is a go, it's in process, he
But
hasn't
it hasn't
finished.
fully executed.
Okay, enough. This cross talking is not happening. Sarah,
Yes.
I do. I said,
No,
no, that's not.
crosstalk.
We don't do that in these meetings, and I'm not gonna start this meeting with this packed agenda with this kind of layout. All questions come to me, you raise your hand, don't just cross, Sarah was explaining, we don't know. When Travis is gonna finish, he was going forward very quickly, and then the weather. And the shortage of people made a big difference, he just doesn't have time.
You don't have a very good voice,
Well,
she was talking to me as well.
No, I did, and the next time I'm getting the gavel,
That
so.
sounds good. So for the bottom line on that, the chair, not Sarah, is it's not finished, it's in the works and potentially for next year now.
Potentially, it will be for next year, I
That's all.
promise you, okay?
Thank you for.
Andy.
Thank you, Sarah, and Scott, thank you for the email, appreciate it.
So, Vicky, your comments are well taken, and, Keith, I really appreciate your passion, particularly about the parking at the trailhead, and, it is very important, and I'd like to just, second Vicky that before anybody speaks at the meeting, you should be recognized by the chair. So you raise your hand. Vicky says, I recognize you, and you speak. And that will help this be painful for all of us, but
Yeah,
I really appreciate your passion about the parking lot. I share it, and we will get an update.
I'm
Yes,
fully aware of the form. Going back and forth with the chairperson, I understand that, yeah, this passing has been 14 months. Let's see where it's at, if there's a difference in opinion, then let's get on the same page, we haven't gone the road with everyone else. It seems. I don't know what.
There's been a lot of things that have cropped up over the course of the summer that have taken the road commissioners that are emergency situations that have taken his attention and his time. And we didn't anticipate a lot of this. And so these are things that he kind of has to pivot on a dime. And he's been pushed to the limit this summer. So I understand as well. And we'll get an answer. Joe.
I believe we've spoken on this topic. I appreciate Keith. We've told you we don't have any more information. I prefer to move on off of that topic if you can. But it doesn't seem like you're able to.
Oh, thank you.
Hold on.
You have to be called on each time.
I think it was just more the bid process part, because that one involved having to be able to.
Are we talking about the pad or the paving?
Parking.
The pad, okay.
I mean, you could do a both inspection, I'm talking about. Paving inspection is.
I have a public comment.
Hold on. Dan, stop. Keith was speaking. Now, we're everybody's a little out of control tonight, so. Dan, raise your hand like everybody else. Yes, Dan.
The Dover Historical Society will be presenting Bill Shantz and the family concert on the 23rd at 2 o'clock across the street at the Dover Historical Society. In the event of rain, we will be at the Dover Town Hall. On a separate note, I've been trying to build a bocce court and mow my grass, and it rains every 5 minutes, so I don't know, any project could be on time. Thank you.
Other comments?
Thank you for the feedback on the bocce court, but you're going back to this, that could be put out to bid, you understand? I mean, I think they're out. Right here, you understand.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of additions to the agenda. Under new business, we're gonna add right in front of the library discussion, a quick conversation and basically a motion to allow somebody to be our town fair voting delegate, which happens next week. And then we are also gonna have a short personnel executive session. So that's all I had. All right, we're moving on to the police department. Consider appointment of Tabi Freedman as our 911 coordinator effective 9/25/23.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So Tabby and I have been having some training sessions, and she's put into the 911 system new addresses, even a new road. And I think she has a very good understanding of it. The 911 board wants to see the select board minutes of the appointment. That's why we're making it for Monday, so that I can email those minutes to them and to show them that we've made the change. And you can ask Tabby how she feels about the training and where she's at.
Tabi, how do you feel about the training? And
Actually, I think it was very comprehensive and I have all of the documentation. I've been hands-on in the system, working with Shelley to get some of the new things in. We've even chased down a couple of mystery addresses together. So I feel very confident that we'll be able to go ahead with this easily.
Are there any comments about making this appointment?
So I make a motion that we appoint Tabi Freedman as the 911 coordinator effective September 25th, 2023.
Second.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. We have an FYI revised retirement letter from Michelle Mann. It's in here. This is dated September 12th from Michelle Mann. Please be advised, I have changed my retirement date as a police department office manager from December 31st, 2023 to December 23rd, 2023. My last day of work will be December 14th, 2023. And I will be using my vacation time from that point until my retirement date. Thank you. So everybody's changing their retirement date.
We just. Hard to say goodbye.
But you're making it shorter.
I was waiting.
So Thank you for the update, Michelle, and we appreciate your many years of service to the town. And
Thank you.
wish you well. Okay. Next is the damage to the cruiser.
So it was about 2 weeks ago, Officer Miller was conducting investigation at the 7-Eleven parking lot. And just the way he had parked in order to conduct the investigation. Patron had came out, saw that he was parked there. Got into his truck. I don't know if in the time being, he forgot where he was, and he backed right into the left front. Corner of, it was actually Mike's car, the sergeant's car. And we had to put it out for a little while to get the headlight fixed. And right now we're going through the VLCT and the other person's insurance company to make good on it.
So are you utilizing it at this point with the new headlight?
Yeah, it is. They were able to get the new headlight in so we could get it back on the road. We use it. Not down to users.
Okay,
That's that.
thank you.
Sure.
Next, we're gonna discuss purchase of body cameras.
So Sergeant McGass is going to be presenting that and the purchase of the cruiser, since he had done the research on both.
Are these in our capital budget?
So the cruiser is, however, there's some, and he can explain it all to you. And the body cameras, in short, we got people explain that. When he's done the research, he said both of us talking on it. I think at this point, I'll just let Mike take over.
Okay.
He contacted all the families and stuff like that.
So do you want me to come up? Is that easier?
Yeah, sure. Plus you'll be on the mic better.
So to answer your question, body cameras are not in the budget. The warranty on our current body cameras ran out earlier this year, and like most technology, everything started to go haywire after that warranty ran out. It's pretty much the batteries. It's an issue. It's known issue in the industry that the batteries only last about 2 years. With that being said, that is why most of the larger companies that provide body cameras and video equipment to law enforcement have gone to a subscription only based model where you get new hardware every 2 years. It's just known that the batteries don't last more than 3 years. They can't figure out how to make that happen. So we're at a point where we're at the end of the life cycle of our current body worn cameras because the batteries are not holding up. Some of them will last for one car stop and then die. Some of them won't hold a charge past 40%, 70%, they're just not behaving correctly for us, which means we're sometimes stuck out there without body camera, which is a liability for ourselves and the town and everybody else. And you have to take a policy about it. So it's kind of where we're at and why we need to look at new ones sooner than later. I handed something out that you guys should have. The three main companies out there I've kind of broken down. We talked to, I have quotes from 2 of them. The third one is really not an option, but I have the approximate cost for, we're looking to get 6 new body cameras. The first option is Safe Fleet Mobile Vision, which is the company that we currently use. They not only do our body worn cameras, but also our 5 cruiser cameras and our in-house cameras that we use for processing and all those things in the police department. So the long and short of it is all of these companies now work on a 5-year subscription-based model. And for the Safe Fleets, the first year, as it's broken down, would be $13,963 to get the hardware, to get the new software, to get pretty much everything running. That includes getting all of the new body worn cameras and all of our existing cameras for cruisers and in-house cloud storage, which will streamline our entire process quite a bit. That's what the industry is going to. It makes the most sense. It will save quite a bit of time in-house to go to cloud storage. Currently, we have a dedicated workstation that all of the evidence video goes to, and then we have to make a copy. Then we have to make a copy of that copy that can then be sent to attorneys. So it's a lengthy process, about an hour on average for every case that needs video, just to burn that video and get it where it needs to go. With this new system, it's a matter of minutes. You can create a case, send an email to somebody, they open the file and get it. While all still being secure. So again, just under that 14,000 for the first year, and then years 2 through 5 for this subscription-based model would be just over $8,202, making a total of $46,795 for the 5-year subscription plan. That does, currently we're paying $1,325 per year for maintenance, kind of, we'll call it, on the camera systems that we have. So that would be eliminated with this new contract. I can go over the other two things. They don't make much sense to me. They don't get us full cloud storage. They're a little bit more expensive. Some of, yeah, the Axon's a lot more if we were to try to get full cloud storage. You're looking at almost, $250,000 over 5 years. So my suggestion would be to go with the state mobile vision quote if we are going to do new body cameras, which we definitely need to. So again, we're looking at the first year and then the 2 through 5 year breakdown.
Scott, is 5 years the max you can go out?
It is not the max we can go out. Well,
How did you decide on 5 years? I'm just like.
that's their plan.
Oh,
It's their plan. So it's a 5-year minimum.
okay, that's.
I asked them about extending that possibly. We can get into why I asked that when we get down further. I don't have a solid answer on that. They sometimes will extend it and lock in that price for 10 years.
Mhm.
The guy I'm dealing with is not sure that they can do that for a department of our size. It's usually like, LA County Sheriffs that they're doing that for. So.
And won't the technology change as well?
The technology will change, but the nice thing about this program is you get
Yeah.
the subscription every 2 years. When those batteries are going to die anyway, we get whatever's the newest, greatest, best technology. So
Not just the battery.
yeah,
the
right,
newest,
not just the
greatest.
battery, the
Okay.
a brand new full body worn camera.
Questions?
Was there a reason they weren't in the budget? If you knew we were coming up on that? Because there's technology for 6,300, was that supposed to be?
No,
Yes.
that's technology in there, that's for the computers and
Okay,
stuff. We knew this was coming, we didn't know it was coming this quick.
okay.
And that's why we were in the process of doing the research, and then like Mike said, everything is just all the timing. I mean, it's just like collapsing at once. And out, so we're kind of in a hard place, I guess you could say, of getting it. We do need it. We're struggling right now with what we have. And Mike can explain more as it goes on. If you look at the bottom of the user, there's you can get into it here, it's here at the top. That this is something that ARPA money can also be used for. So as of right now, we do not have money in the budget.
So the ARPA money, now that you brought it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a public meeting to discuss uses of the ARPA money. So we haven't had that. So I'm not inclined to expend ARPA money until we have that public meeting, which we will try to schedule tonight, okay? I hear the absolute need for the body cameras, and we'll have to figure out ways to pay for things. So let's talk about the next item.
Sure, if I could just piggyback a little bit on that, and it's similar to anything else you get a warranty on at home for your appliances or whatever. Your dryer has a 2-year warranty, you're not hoping that you're gonna have to buy one after 2 years. The warranty ended, and that's when everything started going haywire with the batteries. It was literally right the month or 2 after that, they all started to. So it's not something that was.
Oh, I understand.
So moving on to, if you want to move on to the cruiser, we're good with
Yes.
the body camera.
Yes,
So the cruisers are a bit of a nightmare currently, trying to get cruisers. It's currently a nightmare, and with the strikes going on, it's only gonna get worse. So we were able to find and secure a 23 Chevy Tahoe, which is different than the Ford Interceptors that we've had in the past. We've talked for a while about moving away from Fords for a variety of reasons. And at least trying something else, mechanically, battery issues. So I found in New Hampshire a Tahoe on a lot, and we have secured that. We can purchase that, for the price I showed there. It retails at the 52,000. Our cost after their fees is just under $47,000. The Ford Expeditions, Interceptors, they're kind of the same thing. Those are all going for about that price now too. The prices jumped substantially more than we even put in capital equipment. We bumped it knowing that that was gonna happen. It's going even higher than we thought. Fords are just not available right now either. They're just not there. They're pretty much spoken for until the 2025 models are made. They've overpromised.
so when we start budgeting next year,
Yep, we're gonna have to look at that for sure.
we are, because this is a substantial overage by the time we get it all tripped out,
Yes.
yes.
And so moving on to that part, the thought process currently, what we would like to see happen with this cruiser is to get an additional cruiser on the road and not to replace an older cruiser. It's been kicked around for a couple years now, that would be a good thing. There's a lot of downtime with these cruisers where we're down yet, and that's so currently we have 5 cruisers, 6 full-time guys, and 1 part-time guy. So 7 officers share 5 cruisers. It's been that way for years, and it's increasingly becoming a bit more of a headache to logistically make that happen without people using their personal vehicles to get from A to B. While on the clock, which is not ideal for anyone. So for a couple of years now, we've been kicking around the idea of trying to get a 6th cruiser, and with, I know we're gonna talk about it later, but my thought process is with these ARPA funds, which can also be used for helping to upfit the cruiser with all the lights, sirens, gadgets that we need to try and make that happen now. Which means we would hold on to the cruiser that was supposed to be replaced right now, both the officer driving it and our mechanics, as we can eke out at least another year with that, and would push everything back a year. The next couple of cruisers that go are mine and the detectives, which are the sedans, which can go a little bit longer too. They don't get as much mileage. So that's kind of the process or the thought process moving forward. But with that in mind, we wouldn't be swapping any equipment from one cruiser to a new one, so we would need to buy all new, and that's the breakdowns you can see right there. For 17.5 for all of the equipment from Global Public Safety, who does all of our swapping now, and who we buy our equipment from when we need new lights and cages and stuff like that. We would also need to buy a new radio for that cruiser, and to replace it with what we currently have is just under $10,000.
So I really hadn't heard of adding another cruiser. I mean, that's not a big cost. It's obviously the new cruiser is gonna cost a lot of money. But we won't get any trade-in value.
Right,
you know,
which I had marked there to show kind of where we were at with that budget wise.
So, wow, this is going to. This impacts our capital equipment plan dramatically.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so it has been something that we have been kicking around, and again, the way everything is worked, and Mike knows more about the email, we can read it over again. We recently got an email from the state and from the people that do the state bids. If we were to even order right now, just to swap out and try to get a 23, 24 cruiser, we're not gonna see it until 24 if we're lucky. People who are getting 24s, you're not even gonna see a car until 25. We were very lucky. And I think I mentioned this last time, we just got our new cruiser. There's still police departments that are still waiting for a cruiser 2 years ago. How we snuck in and got our new cruiser last year is beyond me. It was, when they called me up and said it came in, I was surprised. So the cruisers aren't there, we're having an issue. More so, we talked about it, and again, I know, Mickey, the timing has just stuck, and it's just how everything has just happened. And a lot of it has got to do with, you know, with the cruisers. I live very close to the department, okay? There's many days I drive my personal vehicle to work. One, because I am close. Mike's 10 miles further than that. We don't have an officer after I leave, except for our part-time officer that lives in Dover. So our cruisers are scattered around. So it makes more sense, I believe, to add another cruiser at this point. We already have the budget, money in the budget for this car. If you say no, we're gonna slip one. That's not an issue. It's already budgeted, you know, for this year. We're gonna obviously be over into another year. The thing with using the personal vehicles is I'm taking a chance every time I'm using my personal vehicle on town business and town time, that if I get into an accident, I know the town's insurance is going to pick it up. I am, even though I'm doing work in it, try to live relatively close. And Mike, we brought that up, you know, a little bit earlier in this presentation, that it's not ideal. The way the cruisers are, because they are so scattered, if I was to not have used my personal vehicle a lot of times over the last years, in my 4 days working, I probably would have had to use 4 different cruisers because of the way the schedule is. And that's a lot of going around and potentially moving into overtime. You know, by transferring cruisers back and forth. So again, I know the timing sucks. It has been on the radar. And we're trying to push things off, you know, for a little longer as we thought we could. But now again, the auto strike and everything that's happening, it's just, we're not even gonna be able to find a car. I mean, even if we place a car next year, probably we have to start thinking about ordering it now, even though there's not money in the car.
Sarah,
If you order a car, do you have to pay when you place the order? Or do you order when you pay when they tell you it's shipped in?
It's when it comes in is when we pay.
Okay, so if we ordered one now, theoretically, it might not be paid for until next year or even the year after.
Potentially.
but it probably,
Theoretically.
but how about if it shows up?
Right, of course, because it.
I just don't know where we're gonna find the money in this budget to try to, I don't know. Marco, what does our capital equipment fund look like? I hate to ask you this on the fly.
Ask me on the spot, I don't know.
Okay, I don't, I mean, I don't know how we come up with this kind of money.
We can do a quick look to see what we have now and anticipated expenditures, you know, near term, look at it tomorrow, and around.
So the summary here, Mike, is that you are asking for $74,276 and change from the ARPA. And that would cover the 5-year subscription.
Correct.
So that wouldn't have to be in your budget for the next 5 years, is that, I'm
Yeah,
just
so-
trying to understand
Yes,
this.
yes, it wouldn't need to be in the budget for the next 5 years. My thought process is if we could use the ARPA funds for that now. We could spend the next 5 years slowly building it so that when that subscription ends, we'll already have some put aside, or we'll know that we need to do that and we can plan however you guys would want to approach that problem. We would have 5 years to figure it out. My understanding is at the end of the 5 years with this subscription-based program, we would kind of roll into something similar to that 8,200 a year based on technology changes. It'll definitely go up, which is why I thought about trying to lock it in for 10 years. But again, I'm not sure if I can do that yet. So my thought process is if we use the ARPA money for that, it would give us 5 years to figure a plan to.
I frankly would like to see it in the budget every year.
Mhm.
I think that we need to get used to budgeting it every year. And it's a subscription, you know, maybe the 5-year rollover is a capital thing, but it's a subscription system, so it's kind of, it should be an annual expense. So putting it in the budget would be how I would go forward. Sarah,
So, you say there's the yearly subscription cost, do you pay that up front for the 5 years, or do you get billed once a year?
So yes, you get billed once a year is the way that it's built right now. That's why, you know, the first year would cost that 13,900. Each additional year would be the 8,200. we can structure it any way we want, so we could pay a little bit more the first year so that the subscription for the next 4 years is a little bit less, or we can pay it all up front. To theoretically try to lock into 10-year, we would need to pay it all at once. They would want that money.
But we don't even know if we can do that.
Right, which we're not sure if that's an option yet. The guy I'm dealing with had to talk to his people. So again, yeah, moving forward, if we wanted to budget yearly for it. Great, but we definitely need something sooner than later, so I would at very least be looking for that 13.9. Again. You know, as far as I understand, it's eligible for use with those ARPA funds.
Aren't we able to reimburse ourselves if we purchase things and we choose to use the ARPA money later?
That's the answer that I haven't gotten a clear and definitive yes on, is that we can backfill for things that we've already purchased. I can try again. I'm just having a hard time getting straight answers. The final rule, as they call it, changes all the time. It's not quite as final as they made it out to be. And it's just, they do not give clear and defined answers to a lot of these questions. So I've tried to reach out to people who are more familiar with the ARPA program than me, and I'm just not getting the answers from them.
Okay.
I did encourage Mike to present this to you guys because it is an eligible use of ARPA funds, so I thought it was, you know, appropriate to present it this way. But ultimately, what happens to, we haven't had the discussion about what happens to the ARPA dollars.
And we need to have it.
We do.
Yes, Mike.
So I guess I was opening that discussion preemptively, but just to summarize what I was looking at. Again, if with the 74 and change that I was asking for out of the ARPA funds, it would get us the 5 years, not having to worry about body cameras and figuring out how to move forward with that. And it would get us the 6 cruiser on the road while staying more or less within the budget that is set for this year. We would be over budget by approximately $3,000.
I just don't think it's right for us to expend ARPA money right now without having a public discussion as we have promised. So we will, and how quickly could you get this new camera system?
So if we sign a contract, it's usually about a 3-week delivery time, and then about a month from the signing of the contract for someone to come and do the installation and training, which is all included in this pricing. So about a month timeline from the time we sign the contract.
And the cruiser that you have found on a lot in New Hampshire.
Yep.
What's the situation with that?
If that cruiser's ours when we send them a check, and it's right down the road happens to be right down the road from Global Public Safety, who does all our upfitting, and they are looking at about 10 weeks scheduling right now, 10 weeks out.
Randy,
So with that cruiser, the budget, it's already there, it's in the budget. Normally, we don't order a cruiser until about now, and we take it after the winter. Because of the issues with cruisers and getting a cruiser, we found this one. I made the decision today that we're buying this car. The only question, because we have the money in it.
Mhm.
So we can get this car and it can, because it's available. We only had a couple left on the lot, and everybody's scrounging for cruisers.
That was the
We
last
have
one.
the money in there.
Mhm.
I purchased it because we have the money in there.
so you
So
already
we don't
got it?
need- Yeah, we don't need to make,
So-
we don't need to make that decision on adding a 6th cruiser right now. The money's in there, we can get it, it can sit at Global until the decision is made on whether or not to buy new stuff and put it in, or we can transfer it, or it can sit here. It's just, we needed to get it because it was there and available.
Joe,
Can I just ask a question? So you purchased this cruiser. What were we budgeted to spend on the cruiser?
50,000.
Okay.
that's,
So
Tricked
we're
out.
within that.
but we could and decide to do the additional requirements, the lighting, the computer, everything that goes on with the under ARPA money. Okay,
At a later date, yeah.
so you've already bought the cruiser.
That's
We
why we
have,
talk
but we
about
just don't know, but what we wanna do is add it, so that goes part of your ARPA discussion. Is so you know, and not reading in after the fact, so it's adding a sixth cruiser. If you say no, then no, we've got the cruiser, we're gonna move forward like we do every year we get a cruiser.
Joe,
Okay, so it sounds like the body cameras are an important task that a police officer needs today.
Yes.
Okay. It sounds like we should move on this sooner than later. What I'm hearing from Vicky is, where does the money come from? So the money's gotta come from somewhere. It's something for public safety. We have to make it happen, in my personal opinion, as we sit here. So we can figure that out at a later date. So I believe we should move the vote and do the recommendation that Mike said and get the body cameras, because body cameras are probably the most important tool that they have in their toolbox today for when a case becomes a problem. Okay, we can figure out where the money is gonna come from. I'm sure we have the money available somewhere, so we'll do the best we can to get it from where we can use it, once we find out from Eric. So I think we should move the vote to vote on it, not knowing exactly where the money's coming from, but knowing the need for doing it. As for the other information on the car, I'm not at all a fan of having extra cars and more money into cars, but that's my only feeling. So that's what I'm saying. We should call the vote, because we could discuss.
are
this
there
for
some
days.
more discussion that other
That's
board
great.
members might want? Sarah?
I just wanna say, so if we vote to go forward. We're committing to spending 13,963 right now.
Currently for this
We're
year,
not committing to 46,795 this year.
not this year, but
Okay.
we would be signing a contract that is committing to the 82 every year.
Right.
for the
But then
next
we
Oh,
have
we
the
have
ability
time.
to raise
Yeah,
that money.
Correct.
Right. That was my
Other-
thinking.
Other comments, Mike?
The other option is, as I said, we have a little bit of flexibility to structure these payments. This is just kind of what he put together. He said if it's a struggle to get to 14 right now, he could maybe lower the first year, but it would bump the 4 other years. Just throwing it out there. If you want me to have that conversation, bring it back to you.
Would it bump the total price?
No, it would keep the same price. It would just fluctuate the yearly payments if we paid a little bit more or a little bit less the first year.
Scott?
You should, yeah, that's even it out, let's pay more later.
What he said.
Yeah, I think we need to raise the money for this pretty expensive item. Obviously, I agree with Joe. It's a very necessary thing. It's just, this is a lot. Everything seems like it's going over this year, and so I'm not sure where the money is all gonna come from, but I agree we should get it. So if you can try to flatten out those 5-year payments a
Yeah.
little more, that would help.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know if I can get it exactly flat, but
No.
I'll talk to him tomorrow and see how
Okay.
much lower we can get that first year.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
Other comments? Mike?
Not so much about that, but back to the cruiser part just a little bit. So if we did not move forward with getting a 6 cruiser on the road, as Randy said, we needed this cruiser anyway, and it would default back to the system that we've been doing, which is replacing a cruiser, which makes that upfitting not the $27,000, but somewhere in the $10,000 range. So
Okay.
that's what we would be looking at if we did not get the 6 cruiser on the road. We're looking at the
But we don't have to make that decision.
right. I just wanted to throw it out there that
So
that's what
You
we-
guys have already bought the car, the cruiser, so we need to affirm that that's okay. And I think that the motion should also say that we will purchase a 5-year subscription with Safe Fleet Mobile Vision quote via the quote, and try to equalize the payments as much as possible.
Second.
I didn't make that motion. I'm just saying for the motion, the person who was going to make that motion.
Do we need to make a motion to authorize them to purchase a vehicle that's already in the budget?
Yes, we always do. We always do. Every piece of equipment that comes forward to us, we make a motion to purchase it, because then we have the price recorded.
Yes. Right, yes.
Yes.
You think we're gonna vote it down?
No, I was just gonna say, every year that I ordered a cruiser, I've never come here, it was approved at the budget at town meeting, and I just went And I always ordered it in October.
But I think we always
Came
affirmed
in,
it because,
And then it came in. So-
well,
But if you go ahead, I'm just saying,
Okay, so I
Yes.
make a motion.
are you good?
Well, I just wanna speak to it. Usually we vote to purchase the cruiser before you make the purchase, Randy. That's how it's been done in the past, but
Mhm.
I guess you're on your way.
Okay, okay,
All right, so. Make a motion that we purchase the Safe Fleet mobile vision. Body. Camera system for a 5-year total of $46,795. With an effort made to flatten the 5-year payments as much as possible. And that we approve the purchase of the 2023 Chevy Tahoe Fleet Preferred Equipment. And for the vehicle for $52,355.
It's the 46.
no, so
Oh, sorry, the vehicle purchase of $46,983.
with the money coming from,
The capital equipment fund.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please come back when we have our
I'll be
public
here.
meeting to revisit, the ARPA. All right, so having said that, that's the end of police. Let's schedule an ARPA meeting. Eric, can you help us with that? Because you're gonna need to help facilitate some of this meeting, the ARPA meeting.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would like to. Again, get somebody in the room with this more solid knowledge of more of the final decision than that, so. What we're starting, we're about to schedule two additional meetings.
I know,
special meetings
I know,
tonight.
but they're both important meetings.
They are.
So, I guess I don't know who you're gonna find in the room who has more information. Hopefully, I don't, that.
No, I'm saying maybe somebody from the regional can join us.
Yes,
or something.
yes.
They have a number of people who deal with that.
I'd like to get this done before budget starts,
Yeah.
because that is gonna ramp right up,
Budgets
in
is this time.
December,
Yeah, okay.
November.
Well, should we pick like 2 or 3 days in October and November, and then you can present them to Wyndham Regional to see what we can get them in here for?
Evenings, it's
Yeah.
gonna,
Is that
I mean, it's
the
gonna need to be evenings for people to come out.
Is that the most efficient way to do that?
So, we have a 5-week month in, October, no. Yeah, yeah.
5 Tuesdays.
So we could look at, I don't think the 31st is gonna be a good night, but we could certainly look at the 10th. And the 24th,
This trails.
trails, sorry, 24th,
24th. Or anything in that week, really, I don't even know if it necessarily needs to be a Tuesday.
no, it doesn't need to be, but that's an off week, that week of the
Yeah.
23rd, does it work for your meeting schedules? The week of the 23rd,
Okay.
So
okay,
So just propose any date in there then and.
see what they can do, okay, and we need to really get this out
Yeah.
so that people can plan to attend, and we'll do a hybrid.
What
Okay.
date?
We don't know, it's gonna be the week of the 23rd of October. We don't know, because we need Wyndham Regional here. And we can't schedule completely without them.
Don't get me wrong, like, I've
Yes.
read a lot, I'm sorry.
But no, we want,
I've spent a lot of time on the ARPA stuff, it's just that with the changes that are made on a continual basis, it's not.
I get it. Jeanette,
Yeah, just have to add the town hall.
yeah, we should do it at town hall, yes. Okay. Now, we're done with the police department. New business, we're gonna add the town fair voting member. Because town fair, we were supposed to delegate a voting member who's gonna attend town fair. I know that Sarah's attending, is anybody else attending? So would someone wanna make a motion that Sarah should be as a town fair voting member for town fair?
I move that Sarah be our voting member for town fair for the LCP.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're at the library. You don't have to abstain at that. Town municipal library discussion, so Jody, would
Want me there?
yes, I would love to have you up here. So Jody, can you give us the whole background and tell us where why we're here tonight.
The whole
And,
A brief background. Tell us why you're here tonight.
Okay,
And what.
and I'll answer any questions
Okay.
and fill things in. All right.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jody Keeler. I'm the chair of the Dover Free Library Board of Trustees. I've been on the board about 1.5 years. And I've been chair since the beginning of May. It's been a pretty active year and a pretty active last few months, especially for us. The biggest reason that we're here right now is it was sparked by 2 events. We had an employee, a former employee who filed an unemployment claim. We got a call from the Department of Labor and said, we have no record that you have ever filed any quarterly wage reports or government account with us. And so after searching the office, we determined that we hadn't. I called Marco, and the town hadn't filed on our behalf either, ever. So it's been 110 years of our existence. So they asked us to send them 12 quarterly, 12 quarters of wage reports, and we went ahead and did that and started wondering what else was out there that we didn't know. So I called Sullivan Powers to see if they could do a tax audit for us, just so that we knew what we were missing. And just as background, we removed our library director in the middle of July, and so the board has been filling in and trying to pull all of this together and get in the files and get in the paper files and the computers and figure out what is what and where everything is. So along with our bookkeeper. And so I called Sullivan Powers. They said, well, we kind of talked to the town about this and we can't help you until we know what you are. And that's what we mean, what we are. Are you part of the town? Are you not part of the town? And so that led us down another path. And so I've spoken with, in summary, attorneys from Vermont League of Cities and Towns, the HR department there. I've spoken with the library consultants at the state. Spoken with the accountants at Sullivan Powers. I've spoken with library directors across the state who are also directors of municipal libraries, et cetera, et cetera. It turns out we are a municipal library. We search and search. We can find no evidence that we're a 501c3 or that we're an incorporated library. Andy pulled up our original meeting minutes from 1913, where we were actually granted as a library, created as a library by the town, and we were appropriated $15 on that day and 3 trustees. And so we are actually a municipal library, which means we're part of the town, but not necessarily in the same way that, say, the highway department is. Libraries have their own special statutes in Vermont, and we are funded by the town every year at town meeting with a block fund, and our trustees are elected at town meeting every year. Once a library is funded by state statute, the board of trustees has full power to manage the library funds. So that's where we differ kind of from the library and the police department, in that we don't need to come and say we want to buy 3 computers or we want to, buy these books or whatever. We have the power to spend those funds pretty much according to the budget that we put forth, but that's kind of where our similarities end. And to further clarify that, there was a lawsuit that everybody in the library world in Vermont is very familiar with, apparently, but it was in 2002, and the town of Hartford, they have a municipal library, and the trustees put forth their budget, and the town select board said, we don't think you should give this raise to your librarian, the director of your library. And they said, no, we think we should. And they said, no, you really shouldn't. And it ended up going to court. And the court initially decided for the town. The board of trustees took it to an appeal and went to the Vermont Supreme Court, where they reversed their decision and said, actually, the law specifically says full power to manage the library. And so I have the lawsuit here if you guys want to read it. It's actually really helpful in understanding the way that libraries in Vermont function. So the bottom line is basically that we as the library have all the decision-making power, and you guys have all the liability, which is really not a great situation for the town. We have been functioning completely independent from the town, which is not the way it's intended. Most municipal, or many municipal libraries. They function really in one of two ways. They either have their funds or their accounts payable done by the town treasurer. So we would send everything we needed to be paid to Marco, and then he would send out the checks. Logistically, I'm not sure that's gonna work for either us or you guys. You guys are overwhelmed and busy, and our accounts payable is just constant. It's many times a week, yeah, just going out. And we have a system now that we've worked for the last 4 months, or Carol has worked for the last 4 months to clean up and get functioning correctly. There are municipal libraries who do exactly what we do. They manage their own payroll. Sometimes the payroll goes through the town, and they manage their own accounts receivable. However, what hasn't been happening, and what really should be happening for the sake of the town and the library, is that we should have some oversight and communication with you guys on a regular basis. And that has not been happening for years. And I think it's necessary because of the liability involved for the town financially, and for us as well. You know, we have a bookkeeper, we don't have an accountant, we have a volunteer board of trustees, we don't have financial people that we employ. And so we really need that kind of accountability and oversight. The other thing that is supposed to happen, according to the Secretary of State's publication, is that we are supposed to be included in the town's audit every year, which also hasn't happened. So I'd like to see that happen as well. So where we're sitting at the moment is the Department of Labor called me again today, or actually sent an email today. They are deciding on their own that we are actually a separate entity, and are trying to get us to make a decision on whether we are taxable or reimbursable. They want an answer by tomorrow. And so I have to talk to them. They're gonna move ahead anyway. And they said if we don't like it, then we can go ahead and appeal. I could show you the email, Marco, and Nikki, we couldn't decide how to handle that. There are sure to be some fees and penalties involved from the Department of Labor because of the unemployment thing. Yeah.
Are they giving you any numbers?
Yeah, no numbers yet, and they have not made a decision on the claimant's claim. Redundant there, but because they have not been able to move forward because they don't know how we want to proceed. And I kept telling him I can't make that decision because I don't think I have the authority to, as an entity, to make that decision. If we're part of the town, it's not really the library's decision to do that. So we're in a little bit of that's one thing that has to be resolved pretty quickly. And then the other is how we're going to move forward as part of the town. And one thing I want to say, I know the library has not worked very closely with the town in the past. I haven't lived here a super long time, but it's pretty apparent that it's not been a really close, open relationship, and I'd like it to be that way. I mean, we are part of the town, and we have an issue here, and I really want to work together to resolve it and move forward in the way that gives the town the oversight they need and allows us to stay within the guidelines, statutes of the state of Vermont provide for us. So
I have a question. Constituent came to me and mentioned about our funding for you, and at the town meeting, no one actually showed up for the library to speak. And of course, the town's people supported it and paid the money. You just mentioned that there was a case where went all the way to the Supreme Court that allowed you to give a raise to someone.
Yep.
So it appears to me that when you come and ask for the money for us, there has to be more definitive information as to what you're using the money for.
Completely agree, and we do give you a budget every year. It's printed in the annual report, and it wasn't that nobody was there. Nobody got up and spoke. I wasn't chair at the time at the town meeting.
I'm not.
So yeah.
Well,
But let's
That was.
Keep going, Jody.
okay. So yeah, I agree with you. It needs to be discussed. It's it's town money, and I think we have to be accountable. It is printed, in the annual report, and I do remember Rich Warner standing up and asking repeatedly, does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions about the library? And nobody asked anything.
Joe,
Thank you.
So, first of all, I applaud you to come to the board, and I know it's been a difficult time for you on the librarian side, and I appreciate the board members that are here this evening. With that said, we obviously have to do what is right by the state. We obviously should have been paying unemployment, whatever the percentage is for our librarians and for all the staff up there. So we have to do that. We are municipal, you just explained everything to us, okay? So it's pretty simple and easy, we have to. The one thing that we have to decide is, like we decided on everything else, where does the money come from? It's obviously not in your appropriation, or could cover it in your appropriations, but we don't even know what the number is.
No, we don't.
So that's number one. Number two is obviously we have a claimant that is applying for something that he is well aware that he never sent checks for. Okay, so we need, as an individual, for me, we need to fight and not pay the unemployment. That's me personally. Now, I have other board members, you have your board to make that decision, but it's only right that someone knows what's going on. That's my only 2 cents. You know, the board here can speak upon where we're gonna get the money, but we have to do what the state says.
Yeah.
So you're looking for, my understanding, the state's looking that pretty much we're on the hook for. So they're trying to figure out if we are or we're not, correct still?
They've already decided that they're gonna call us a separate entity. They're trying to decide if we are what's called taxable or reimbursable. Apparently, there are 2 ways to register with the Department of Labor, and with one, you pay taxes on a regular basis when you file your quarterly wage reports, and then the other one you don't. But if you don't, then when someone files a claim, you reimburse them dollar for dollar on that claim. The other way, you just pay for the tax on that.
yes, Joe,
Can I ask a question of the public?
of the public.
Well, our treasurer, do you know which one we're paying tax, or you just
You mean
reimburse
for
it,
the
you know how
town?
we pay?
Now, we don't pay for,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Department of Labor
So-
told me the town was reimbursed.
yeah, we report it, but we don't.
Okay, so
we don't pay.
I would assume we'd be the same as what the town is.
Yeah, if I don't give them an answer tomorrow, they're gonna automatically make us taxable. And not the same as the town, which is gonna make our appeal even harder.
It doesn't make any logic.
Scott,
Yeah, I just also wanted to second that. I appreciate all of that. There's a lot of hours that the board has picked up,
Yes.
and that, you know, when there wasn't a director, they stepped up, they were hours in the library, and totally appreciate all of that. It can't be stressed enough, this is volunteer, and you guys put a lot of time, just even understanding all those
Yeah.
legal cases and everything. And Andy, thanks for your research on there too,
Yes.
so
yes.
that was, the whole $15 there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we moved to, are you looking for an approval for say to?
Well,
let
we
them
need
be
we need
reimbursable?
2 things. I need some guidance on, and I'm happy to sit and talk with Marco tomorrow too, or Vicky or whatever, to get back to the Department of Labor, but we need to figure out how I need to respond to the Department of Labor. I just, again, I don't even know that I have the authority to do that, because we're not a separate entity, we're under the town. But the second thing I need guidance on is, how you guys want to function from here on in regards to the library and oversight of our finances. And I'd like to be included in this year's audit if we can do that. And so I know.
For the coming year's
Yeah.
audit, because we just had our audit
I
done.
know, we are in dire need.
And you got a quote.
Yeah.
And
Well, that was for a full audit. I really would like somebody to, we don't need a full audit anymore. Our bookkeeper has spent probably over 100 hours straightening out our books and bringing everything back to a state where it's reconciled and our balances are 0 and everything is,
Yep.
everything works. And so I don't know that we need a full audit, but I do need somebody to look and make sure that we're doing what we need to in terms of tax filing and
Right.
that all of that is then done properly. And I don't want to wait till next year.
I get it, so you need to find out how much of that would be as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
so I I don't know who to talk about in terms of taxable or reimbursable. Marco, do you have any idea?
No.
So we are reimbursable, that's what the town
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
So we should be.
we report, but don't pay. You know, we don't pay as we go, so
Okay,
I guess if somebody were to be terminated, then,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, well, right.
Scott first, then Sue.
So I think that we should definitely go with being reimbursable. If that's what the town is, let's go with that. And we're talking about at most 3 employees reimbursable. Means
Yeah.
it's not gonna move that.
The issue with reimbursable is that I'm sorry, speaking.
There, go ahead.
Thank
If this claimant is granted unemployment, the library is gonna really, we can't afford to pay 2 director salaries. We're gonna need the town to step in and do the reimbursable, if we don't fight, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I agree, and I will be all over that.
Okay, so, all right, so that's something you have to consider, and you have to consider very as well. Sue?
I'll just throw out there, I'm the treasurer's rank currently. With the taxable, the reimbursable or taxable, if I'm correct, and I'm asking Jody, I believe the understanding is. When you do have somebody file and they are eligible, the reimbursable is a lot of money. Whereas if you are taxable, it's a very fine amount, low amount that comes out on a regular basis. I think we looked at it and that actually the other way around. So I'm not saying that the town should change the way they do it, but I'm just at this point, but it is something to consider for the future.
And then if you have when you're with taxable and you have employees that make claims, then your rate goes up. And then it goes back down when they come off and you have a certain period of time. So it really fluxes with your the amount of employees who are using it, but there's always a tax. Who had their hand up first?
I was gonna say what you said, so.
Okay.
Another point that was brought up to me was in regards to the benefits that are paid to the town. Why is the library paying the same benefits?
I don't know what you mean,
Why is the library offering the same benefits as the town?
why isn't the library?
Are they or are they not? Wait, no, what was your question, Dan?
My question was, a constituent asked me, why are we paying the same amount of benefits as the town pays to the employees?
I don't know that I really understand the question. We don't actually, our benefits. We're currently discussing how we're going to move forward with the benefits for the employees. We don't pay the benefits in the same way that the town does currently, and the board isn't really happy with the way it's being paid right now. So we're in the middle of discussing that. We basically have some people that get health benefits and some that don't, based on the numbers of hours that they work, and that we've got to move to more of a prorated.
And that's interesting, because we were always told that whatever the town did, the library was gonna get, and we've been told that over and over.
A lot of years.
That's not what's happening.
Okay, so.
So I think Dan is actually referring to me.
Correct.
Because I asked him that question, my concern was. Town employees, library employees are not at the same risk every day in their job with police officers. So I was wondering why we, historically had done that. And as Vicky says, that is what previous people have said it must be. And
But it sounds like you guys hire, fire.
Yes.
we are now,
So,
we are now having discussions, and it's on our next, as we prepare our budget, we have to discuss.
So, the part about like keeping us more in tune, maybe a quarterly report, just seeing where you guys, when you guys, we don't need anything monthly.
Would I work with you guys or Marco or both?
You could just submit your, quarter, a report that you might have and submit it to us, and we'd have it and we'd know what's going on.
All right.
I agree, you need a tax audit, and you need to figure out how much that's gonna be, and if it's something you can possibly absorb in the current budget or not. And we want to work together going forward in the best possible way. And no, nobody in this room is responsible for this situation. This situation goes back decades and decades. And
110
yeah,
years.
I don't know when the labor stuff started happening, you know, insurance in that respect, but yes, this is not none of us made a
Nobody did
mistake,
this.
nobody was aware of this. And
Nope.
you know, but sometimes the doctrine on the street is not the true, and so it's kind of some of this, thank you for doing the research and finding it. So I think this board we're prepared to help you guys, and we have to. I mean, it's what it is, and we want to make it better going forward, and having a better discussion, you know, about just integrating things in terms of the town and the library being one, and people getting up and speaking at you know, and explaining the budget maybe a little, because we certainly explain our budget. And I think that everybody benefits from that.
Yeah, I would agree, and we're already getting more integrated. We have the town planning commission just asked us to get involved in the town plan that they're doing, and so we're gonna go ahead and do that.
Good. Yes, Steve?
Do you guys get any donations from people?
We do. Yes. We do. It's not a major source of our funding, but yeah, we do. We do get.
And I saw that the Friends of Dover, somebody get their hand up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The Friends of Dover.
I have my hand up. Thank you.
Okay, Edie, sorry.
No, that's all right. I've been involved in the library for a long time, when it was just a volunteer place over there. And I just wanted to make one comment. Just wanted to comment that an employee may have made mistakes. John obviously did, but he's still entitled to unemployment. And just because he didn't do that doesn't negate that there's a responsibility to provide unemployment insurance for him. In my mind, it was always ultimately connected to the town, the library. And I just, you know, the fact that he didn't pay into his own unemployment, to me, is irrelevant. The relevance is that there's a responsibility for unemployment insurance that rests with the entity that's responsible. That's it.
Right, and since the library had never paid into and didn't even have an account number, it just never happened. It just something that fell through the cracks in the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we have to determine is should we go through the town with unemployment?
I'm just saying that he may have, you know, subjectively been responsible, but as an employee, he wasn't responsible for making sure that that was in place.
And it wasn't in place. It wasn't in place before he took over. From what I understand, it just has never been in place. So we just need to correct some of these things.
Right. Nobody's laying the blame
Nope.
at anybody's feet. It's just something that a situation that we find ourselves in that we have to move forward on.
But I was going to say to you, I saw when I was on Secretary of State's site that the Friends of Dover Free Library, which is a 501c3, is not active and not registered by the state.
No, it's not active at all.
Okay.
It disbanded a number of years ago, and nobody had brought it up at a meeting recently and asked people to please get involved, and nobody did. So
okay,
it's not. So really, I just need to know moving forward, you know, how if we have to go forward with the Department of Labor as a separate entity, we cannot afford in our budget to do it as a reimbursable. We have to do it as taxable at this point, because we would have to, if we had to pay unemployment to this individual, it would be a dollar for dollar reimbursement, and we have a new director starting in less than 2 weeks. So
Sarah.
Well, unemployment has a maximum. It's not gonna be his salary. It'll be
But-
$705 a week.
I know. Yeah.
But if you opt, or if they allow you to be taxable, are they going to want to back tax you? Or
Probably.
And for how long?
I think it's 12 orders.
So that's not,
3 years.
that's not
Okay.
enormous.
Yeah. So, you know, it's, I don't, and if you have some insight, I'd love to talk with you later. I don't have any idea how to proceed with this. And when I asked Sullivan Powers, I said, it sounds like we should be taxable, and he said, well, not necessarily. So I don't.
Well,
Yes, Joe.
it behooves us that we have done well with being reimbursable.
Mhm.
That I don't think we're gonna have one entity of the town be one and the other, but that's not to say that I'm correct or incorrect in what way they move forward.
Right.
Okay. And I appreciate what Edith has spoken.
Yep.
But unemployment is for when you are terminated or not cause, okay? So again, there is documentation of the reason whys and everything else that it behooves whatever you guys decide, because it's totally up to you. I'm just saying what my point of view is.
There has not been a determination. yet,
So
like,
that is
but-
up to
okay.
you guys what you do for, it. So that's all I have to say.
Scott, I also think we should move to reimbursable.
Not that we're gonna have a choice,
Yeah, I'm.
That
just
the
saying.
library should be
Yes.
reimbursable.
we'll see what happens.
We just have to, yeah, I guess we could do that and look at our budget and see, you know, where we are and come to you guys for help, I guess, if we need to do that.
You're more than welcome to call me after the meeting.
Okay.
And Scott's got my number, your Scott's here early, to just give you a little more
Information.
insight on that sort of stuff
Okay.
for your meeting tomorrow. I
Okay.
don't want to discuss it.
So besides that, is there anything else you need from us?
Not necessarily, just want to let you know, we're supposed to be the new director that's starting in less than 2 weeks, and we are gonna have some sort of a open house meet and greet with her mid-October, so that we'll have everybody to come when we have that. We're pretty excited that she's starting. I think she's gonna be a great fit for the library. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sue?
So did we cover whether the audit question and
The what question?
the audit?
Oh,
question?
yeah, so are we gonna move forward? It's, thank you.
So I want you to come to us with the price and of the tax on.
I'll talk to Sullivan.
Okay.
If
Okay.
we can-
Eric?
I just wanted you to encourage to share that information with us once we have it finalized for the open house, because there's lots of avenues,
Correct.
Facebook, our websites, all those things. Our email list that we can be sharing.
Great, awesome, here, thank you.
Scott?
Listen, just moving forward, can we make sure that next time we have our audit, that the library will be part of that?
Yes,
Yeah, well,
yes, and I think that you guys should, it should be done at the same time, agreed, but it should be a line item on the library that isn't, you know.
Looking at the secretary, I don't know, we'll have to look at it later, but looking at the Secretary of State publication, it says that the town should do the audit. in the library.
So, okay, I kind of like the fact that we know how much, so it is for the library portion of it.
Yeah.
And if it's small, not so concerning, but if it's, I mean, these are more tax dollars that are
I
gonna,
know,
yeah,
I know.
Andy.
I get it.
So the Secretary of State's document doesn't say that the town has to do the audit. It says the town auditors may audit the library.
Yeah, there are 2 lines.
We need to take turns talking,
Yeah, that's fine.
and it's my turn. So the other things that are in that document, you know, there's a lot of stuff in that document, and an audit may wind up with some recommendations that determine how you move forward. I think the Sullivan and Powers should do your audit on a yearly basis. But you know, it's unfortunate that it hasn't been done. But there's a lot of other things in that Secretary of State's document that would prevent you from moving forward the way you want.
You mean in doing our own?
Getting appropriations, and you know, none of the way you work is according to that document. That's not a basis for something to collect what they need to have an audit by Sullivan and Powers of your books. That's not the case.
So two things, you're correct, the way this is outlined, our expenses should get paid through the town treasurer. Is that what you're referring to?
That's one of the things.
But we are able to have a memorandum of understanding, is my understanding that if we wanted to work things differently, we can do that, so we may need to kind of move forward legally and get some sort of memorandum of understanding if we want to keep things the way that it is. I just think, I don't mind if we want to do it through the town, just the lag time between when things need to get paid and when they can be paid, and how much you guys have on your plates when we have a system that works right now, and we're happy to be accountable to you. I think that that's the
Do
best way
you
to move
look
forward
at
right now.
warrants like we do, pay, you know, like here we have a stack of bills that all of us look at and sign off on a, you know, every 2 weeks. Do you guys do that?
We have just begun implementing that in the last few months. We have the stack of bills available for the trustees to look at and go through and sign off that we've seen them. We have lots of checks and balances in terms of access to our bank accounts now, access to the accounting software, and so we have cleaned all of that up. We are now much more aware of how things are being spent. And let me be clear, there wasn't anything nefarious going on before. It just was not open, and there weren't any checks and balances. So that's really what we corrected. The second thing is that there's another line in here, Andy, where it says, no matter what the account, the town auditor has the responsibility to audit the municipal library, public library's accounts and report to the voters about how the library has spent its money as part of a town report. There's actually since 2 lines that refer to an audit, and that's the one that I'm
So that's
talking about.
that's our own account.
And
That should be happening.
so, and none of this has been happening to anybody's knowledge in the recent past.
No, nobody, when I first joined the board, I asked about an audit and nobody could remember when the last time the books had been audited, so. That was last, I don't know, January maybe, that we started talking about that. Moving forward, we ended up deciding that would be a one-time expense. But if our problem really was bookkeeping, then maybe we should just get somebody to do books and have an ongoing benefit as opposed to just spending something one time. Not knowing that it was required. So
What else? What else with this whole topic tonight?
Gotta look at 1910 records.
1913, yep.
Thanks, Ann.
All right, so I'll work with you guys and we'll do the Carol will work and get the quarterly reports out and see what kind of information you guys want or need. I'll talk with Sullivan.
It will probably evolve as things go on.
It will,
But let's.
Yep.
Start. Thank you. Thank you all. I know it's been a lot of work and I appreciate it because as a taxpayer, I really appreciate it. And I think everybody should appreciate the yeah, and you know, we appropriate a lot of money as voters every year, and there hasn't been a whole lot of counting on where that money actually went. So thank you.
Yeah, so it'll be different from here on, and awesome board and awesome employees. Everybody has really stepped up in this time. It's been busy and tough, and I appreciate everybody and you guys too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, moving on to a brief update on the town common well project.
I'm second.
Yeah, this is.
So first of all, I spoke with Stephen at CAS, after a lengthy lack of communication between himself, but he apologized for that. The flooding issues took a toll on them. They're right in that same area, where that happened. So, but after he consulted with a hydrogeologist, as well as Bart Cushing from Cushing and Sons, who did the well drilling, and they determined that digging any deeper was not a viable solution, considering that it had already been fracked. And it wouldn't produce any change in the gallons per minute. Is their thinking. So in that respect, we do have to move forward with the state's requirement of the 36-hour pump test. They estimated, Stephen did looked at quotes for that from a hydrogeologist in the past. It would range anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 to do that test. Stephen and Cass is going to put together an RFP. That what happens first is the RFP needs to be created for the hydrogeologist to make this plan. And that gets submitted to the state for approval first. And then the RFP can go out and the bidding process for the testing, the pump test process by a hydrogeologist. And he is hoping to have that RFP to me this week. So,
okay.
So that's it.
Thank you. And we have not tested, there's been no testing at all. So if the water is contaminated now we don't even know.
So
Why don't we just test it now? If it's contaminated, not do the 36 hour? I'm confused.
I don't know.
me too, Vicky.
I agree.
I don't know. But that's not an option.
It might be good now, and then 36 hours later, it might not be, but if it's not good now, it's probably not gonna be good 36 hours from now. Joe,
This is what we've already spent, $92,000. They're now asking us to spend another $20,000 or $30,000 for a test that we may not want to know the answer for, nor do we know if we're gonna get reimbursed for. I cannot move forward with that without having better information. Jeanette has done a wonderful job. It's nothing against Jeanette with moving all this. She's done spend this, but we are not getting the answers that I need to move forward to do an RFP for more money. What Vicky has just said, have they even done a little bit of pumping and tested the water that's there? I get that they have to have the water go in. This is just getting to be comical to me.
so, and what was did you ask that question? So shouldn't we just test it now and see if we have PFAS in it now? Because if there's PFAS in it now, they're not gonna go away. We may.
I know, but I think there's still this requirement, and Stephen is frustrated by this as well, because the state is making them do this. And he doesn't believe it's
Necessary.
right,
I know.
it's necessary. So I think we have to have someone from the state to, I mean, we did have them on, 2 months ago.
So it just seems like if the well is contaminated now, which we don't know, we thought we were gonna get it tested this after a waiting period last fall, after they drilled it, we were gonna be able to get a test to see if there was at that point PFAS. We can't even get it tested for PFAS until we spend all this other money seeing if it's, so I'm fine. If it's comes back clean, I'm fine doing that other thing and moving forward, but if we do that, how do we know we just didn't throw away, as Joe just said, $20,000 or $30,000?
Right, but I don't know that we had a choice. But I.
Well, that is back ass bullshit, I'm sorry. That is just not make any sense. Yes.
I know it doesn't make sense.
Who is the person at the state that we can go to and say, you need to explain to us why we can't test the water right now? Before we invest in a larger, and we're not saying we aren't gonna do the larger test, we're just simply want to eliminate the possibility. Who, do you know who that person would be?
Oh, I have plenty of contacts.
Oh, I know. Are any of them people who answer that
So
question?
is it illegal if we go and have KS do the thing? I mean, is it, are we gonna be fined? Are we gonna be thrown in jail? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at this point.
Jail.
If we pump some water out, first of all, the PFAS test is still a couple of grand.
Right.
But at least if we pump some water out, not 36 hours, $20,000 to $30,000, pump some water out, get some water coming in, so we have clean. Clean out the chlorinated water that put in there. Obviously, I've been following this too much. Clean out the chlorinated water, get fresh water in from the hydrofracking we've done. Spend
So-
$3,000 or $4,000 to at least do a preliminary PFAS test, because that is the key thing that we're trying to eliminate in this situation. So unfortunately. Yes, go ahead, Gina, thank you.
It's Jeanette, thank you.
Right, and that's well and good, but I think regardless of how that test comes out, I think you're still gonna have to do this 36-hour test.
Well, then we abandon the well. If the test comes
Then-
back bad,
Then we've spent a whole bunch of money for nothing as well.
we may have already. We don't know. I mean, we are just blind on this.
And-
Dan,
I think KAS is more of a problem than a solution, but keep on finding.
It's not,
It's not.
it's not,
it's the state.
can I please speak to that?
Yes.
Okay, Dan.
Please don't.
So in public, it's not KS. It's partly the state that has the requirement that KS has to follow. It's obviously the KS and the state are not in agreement on this test, but the state is still pushing for it. So KS is just doing what is mandated by the state. I'm not saying the state is doing anything wrong, so it's not good to implement something like that, okay? We wanna get to the solution, but the solution, we can't keep just spending money. And all this stuff that's just been brought up by Jeanette is like making this take even longer. RFP, this, it's like months, half another year, so it's gonna
It's
take.
been a
even
year
longer.
since, almost a year since we drilled the well. Dan,
Just one question, would KAS do this test for us?
No, they cannot. It has to be done by a hydrogeologist.
the
Oh,
36 hour,
The 36 hours.
they could come and take a
But they
water
can
sample.
take Samples, I guess. I don't know why that isn't an option, but.
Cause we have never had this, it's my understanding, since we drilled this well, we have never had that test done. And it was my understanding, after we drilled the well last fall, that is indeed what we were gonna have done, so we had an idea if it was good.
Right. But I think.
I don't know who we call to try to understand why we aren't entitled to a test to know if we got well that has a chance or is just a hole in the ground. I'm so confused by this and I don't understand it. Yeah, so,
It's a pretty world. I don't understand why you can't do your PFAS test. Whoever you hire to do it. You know, and that will answer your question, whether or not you're gonna go ahead with the 36-hour test.
so I guess we could try to find somebody else who could take the test for us if KAS is unable to, for some legal reason, to take the test now. I hate to do that because then you get more people involved in it. So, Jeanette, can you just ask them that one question? Can we do a small flush and try to get a test to see where the levels are now? I mean, to me, this is just, before we go further with this, because that's all about the output and everything with the 36-hour test. We really just wanna know where we are with the water contamination right now. Is this clear? At this point, it may not be after we do the extended test, but if it's not now, why even bother?
Right, if it's not now, it's definitely not gonna be a
I know.
36-hour test.
I know. Joe,
A low flow well is not a terrible thing. It just means that we probably have to have a larger storage of water to meet the demand of the facility. This
And
is
we have a
not
large
common thing.
we have a
So-
very deep well with a large storage. So that takes a lot of it off, and we were hoping not to have all the gooey stuff in the maintenance room, get rid of that, but we may, but. I know that's it, I know, I hear you, Jeanette, but I just, to be honest, it's such, like, this is such a basic thing, if the well's bad now, why would we spend any more money?
Yeah, well, that's how I think they would have They would have gone down that road.
Okay, fair enough, so then could you just ask that question very, very short, very bluntly, you know? Why can't we, because it's not gonna get better if it's contaminated now. I don't, besides all the treatment things that we can do up in and put in all those systems that we can do. But if maybe, and then we still probably gonna have to do 36-hour test anyway, I get it, but. This is one of those, I feel like we're in a circle, and I'm sure you do too.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
All right, we're only 40 minutes behind. Economic development, Eric.
Time's up.
So first item under our section is to discuss the potential landowner agreement with SOVTA. You guys will remember earlier this year, we had a number of discussions about a potential landowner agreement with SOVTA and what that would look like, and there was a lot of back and forth. In the meantime, I want to thank Andy, and I know you probably have some things to say after I'm done speaking as well, for doing the research between the different charters for all of the different groups that SOVTA is a part of and works with, to put together a landowner agreement that is straight and to the point as far as what's to be required in terms of work being done on town-owned properties. As far as any money for those projects, I think that this, it's in here that the town of Dover would be applying for the permits and grants associated with those properties, so that we don't have any crossover there. As far as SOVTA asking for money or any organization asking for money, I think that that's already covered in the document that we use for our trails and recreation process. So in my mind, and again, I'm sure Andy has more to add after, this agreement works for what we're looking to be involved with SOVTA.
Andy, do you have anything more to add?
I think that was perfect. I think that was perfect. If you have any questions, I feel the same way I did when I wrote that. And the cover letter that I sent to you, I think you need to keep it simple. I think that this is in the context of our relationship not having worked out. And this is an effort to take the relationship back to when it was successful. Some things were simpler. The town was in charge of town properties. There were no gray areas, like Eric said, with grants or permits or anything else. It worked well. They came to the Conservation Commission when they wanted to work in the town forest. We looked at their plans, approved 90% of it, and they did the work, and everybody was happy, and we had a great relationship. I think if we take it back to that, when I talked to Tommy Oakley, who seemed open and on board with this, his comment was, yeah, you can't have two project managers, you can't have two bosses. The town is in charge of town properties. Let's take it back there and where it was successful and try to move forward. I think the key things that should be non-negotiable for you that you did see in the previous more contract and permission form that you were going to be asked to sign. And they were there because of complications of grant money and permitting processes and things, which we're not going to worry about. The key things you should exclude from that document, and which should be non-negotiable, are that SOVTA is not in charge of closing trails, that there is no conflict resolution process with appeals that could take months. If either party wants to get out of the relationship, it's just a written notice and we're done. I think it can be that simple, because we're not involving SOVTA's name on permits or on grant applications. The town properties are held in the public trust, they're not private properties, so there's no need to ensure that they will remain open after permission is granted, like with a private property. That eliminates a lot. Permission form, so SOVTA can give it to their insurance provider, say we have permission to be on these properties, should somebody get hurt. That's the only reason to have this. And I anticipate going right back to where our relationship was awesome. That's awesome.
And so, what would you suggest, either of you, as a time period we should sign this for a year? For, make it the end of September 2024, kind of put it in that kind of thing? Yes, Andy.
So I spoke with Tommy recently. I would say, don't worry about this year, getting town forest at least ready for the winter. Myself, Tommy, perhaps Eric will take care of that. There's not a lot to do this year. I would want something in place for next spring. So that SOVTA could plan and hopefully be involved in maintenance of the town forest next season after snow. That would be my.
So you would, I'm looking at this, that extend from to,
Renew it in the spring, early spring, March, after town meeting.
Okay.
Renew it right after town meeting, and that way they know what to expect for the coming year, for their work season. And we know what to expect. We don't have to worry about handling this some other way.
Okay, so then we should do a short-term one to begin with, and then do a lengthy one, probably do a year one after that,
Sure.
okay? So we should make it like March 15th. Okay, so from today until March 15th, and then March 15th, and then what the plan will be to do it 14th.
No,
And-
from the 15th to the 14th.
Yeah,
Right,
well,
next
this
one.
right now, we're in September, so the first one we're gonna do is only from September 19th through March 14th.
Right,
Okay,
and then the next one will be, gotcha.
makes sense? Is that what, we're all on the same page with that?
Yeah, and then once signed, this document will be provided to SOVTA and they, they have their own board as well.
Right.
And we'll make the decision on whether or not.
And if they sign it, then, our intent would, and it works, would tend to go on a yearly basis. Okay, does somebody wanna make a motion?
Not sure.
So that we would sign the proposed recreation trail work on town land for the period of.
So I'll make a motion that the select board signs the agreement for work on town land with SOVTA effective today through March 14th, 2024, with the option of renewing annually.
Yours doesn't have a staple, can I have that one?
Sure.
There's one for- I'll pull it out. So we have a
First
motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up. Discuss potential special meeting date for short-term rental discussion.
So we are seeing an unprecedented confusion around this topic based on the conversations happening in Wilmington and the idea that we would be doing the same exact things that Wilmington is doing. So I think it's a good idea for us to have this conversation soon, to kind of set the parameters, thank you guys very much, of what it is that we're looking at going forward. I know we just set a meeting.
For October, the week of the 23rd of October.
Right. Thoughts on when we could potentially have, I know it's something that people would like to see us start because I have real estate agents who are contacting me, who are saying the deals are being held up based on the potential for this.
Is there something we can do the week of the 9th of October? I know you have trails, but
Yeah, maybe the Monday or.
is that a plan?
Oh, yeah, no, not the Monday.
Monday's.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't, it could be,
Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Something in there.
11 or 12.
the 11th?
Yeah, we just warned something, so the 11th.
Say the 11th.
If you can do it then,
Yes.
and it should be at the town hall as well. Oh, is it an open mic night? I don't know.
Shut it down.
Stop it.
One September 27th.
Is it?
You do it at the
It's-
library,
I
maybe you
think
can do it at the library.
Um,
We do it at the library,
I
maybe?
believe that is an open mic.
it's an open mic, so that's probably not gonna work.
no
Stay.
more than-
Okay, hold on.
We do it this 18th or 19th.
18th or 19th?
Yeah, that.
I prefer the 19th because I hate back-to-back meetings.
19th is probably better because Wednesday would be an open mic night.
Well, it's only the second and fourth.
Oh, okay, gotcha, sorry.
Oh, it's 11th and the 25th. So the 18th
Okay,
Or the 19th.
or the 19th. I prefer the 19th.
is everybody good with the 19th? Regular 6:30 start?
Be at the 19th, I can't be the 18th.
Okay.
So 19th.
Hold on, you can't be at
No, I can't be the 18th, I can be at the 19th.
19th. Okay,
That's not to say I'm gonna be there.
6:30 Dover Town Hall.
Okay. I've spread the word.
Okay, next, Dover Technical Assistance Program applications.
5 total applications, 4 of them for the max amount, 1 for $759.96, max amount being $2,500. We are well under budget, we have 25,000 in that program. But we are seeing expanded interest in the program, which is good. All of the programs, they're full applications, they're all within the guidelines of the program, and Shannon and I are both in support.
Anybody have any questions about these 5 applications? Okay,
I make a motion that we approve the detailed applications presented by the Economic Development Director. I need to do that.
sure.
Okay. Deerfield Bar and Bottle, for $759.96. It Keeps Sport, Invasion Board Shop, Trail 87, and Vermont Academy at Mount Snow for each $2,500. Sorry.
All in favor? Aye. Valley Trail Bridge update, brief.
Yes, so, yeah, no, I know. They're through the flood stuff now, so they have a defined schedule. It'll either be the last week of October or first week of November. They'll be on the bridge. Timeline for repair is 2 weeks, so the bridge will be closed for a total of 2 weeks, which is actually a lot less than what we originally thought. So it's in stick season. We couldn't really ask for much more. We'll figure out detours and things like that for anybody using the trail potentially, but that's when that's happening.
2 weeks is not bad.
No, it's not. It's gotta be done.
Gotta be done.
Yeah.
Anything else there?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Horse Hill update.
Horse Hill. Everybody's in there, everybody's working. I know, the machines came in from the top of the property, so everybody says, well, there's nobody in there, they're not doing anything. They absolutely are. So the trails company, the bike trail company is up at the top of the property, our hiking trail company is at the bottom of the property, and our disc golf guys are all over the property. Okay, so they're in there, they're working. Just a brief update, going through wetlands stuff. We did pay to have the wetland delineated down there at the bottom. It turns out that entire access trail is actually a class 2 wetland. So in order to not have to pull a lengthy permit for that, our hiking trails company decided that they are going to instead put a 5 foot wide by 1 foot high boardwalk, which is an allowed use per Vermont state wetlands, and is going to provide a nice and dry access into the property that we've never had there before. It's actually a good thing. Also, part of the delineation is a lot of the spots that we thought were wetlands in there actually are. The good news is that they're actually class 3 wetlands, which don't require a buffer, which means potentially we don't have to pull any permits on anything that we have in there, barring the moving of the last disc golf hole. So my update is that to the public is, yes, they're in there working. There are no permit issues, just trying to dispel some things that I've been hearing around town. So everything is going fine and everything is on schedule to be completed prior to the winter, with the exception of possibly some cleanup around disc golf holes after fall and winter have settled on them and created a mess. So they will be back potentially in the spring just to clean up around where baskets go and things like that, and everything will be ready.
And we'll do a actually grand opening next year.
Big ribbon cutting and grand opening. The other piece, real quick, we did put out a poll, or at least a document out to our trails members to provide us with any potential trail names, because we're gonna have a lot of new trails on the property. I think we've received one recommendation to this point, but that's something that would be yours. That's something that would be presented to you guys as recommendations from the Trails Group, or we can take a different group if you'd like to do that. But right now, the Trails Group is looking at it. We're also working on the wording of our shared use property signage, just to let people know that, hey, it is hiking, biking, and disc golf across the property, and to work together nicely to make that happen.
Any questions of Eric about Horse Hill?
Bless you.
Thank you, Eric.
Motion to go on the Board of Liquor Control.
Second.
All in favor? So we have 3 special event permits, Shelburne Vineyards LLC for the wine and harvest. Eden Ice Cider Company for the wine and harvest, and White Mountain Distillery LLC for the
I
for
make
the
a
wine.
motion to approve the special event permits for Shelburne Vineyard, Eden Ice Cider, and White Mountain Distillery for the wine harvest. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to come out?
Motion to come out of liquor control.
Second. All in favor?
Motion to approve the minutes of September 5th, 2023.
Just
I'm on it, man. I'm
Consent
tired.
agenda.
I'm hungry and tired. As are we all, I'm sure.
Any changes, corrections, additions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Motion to approve the warrants of September 16th, 2023 for $654,301.14.
Second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
FYI, Dover Artisan Market Fridays from 3 to 7 at 171 Route 100. Dover Conservation Commission meets September 20th at 7 p.m. Planning Commission meets September 25th at 6:30 p.m. Open mic night, September 27th at 6 p.m. at Dover Town Hall. Any liaison reports? We do have a brief executive. Sorry, Mike.
If you're interested, I have a brief update. I actually have some new numbers from the rep on the body camera situation.
Okay. So that's just.
Down in the pile.
It's like, where is
Yes,
the
sorry.
freaking- well, I've got it too, so, okay.
So I don't have the answer yet on whether we can spread the payments out evenly, but he did send me another contract that is for the 10-year. So we were approved for the 10-year with even more discounts. So the long and short of it is the total for 10 years would be $79,195.
That's a pretty good deal.
So if we were able to spread out, say, the 5-year contracts, it would be $9,359. If we spread out the 10-year contract, evenly, it would be $7,919.50.
You're not paying ahead of time for the 10-year?
No, so yes, thank you for bringing that up. My understanding earlier was that we could only possibly get the 10-year if we paid a lump sum for it up front. They're allowing us to do the contract within.
Joe?
My only question on this contract is, if they don't provide the service that they say, how hard is it to get out of the contract? I'm not saying they're not going to, Mike, just get a little nervous when we go that far ahead.
We'd like to see the contract.
You know, because new technology, things could become cheaper, sometimes locking in battery technology's gotten better, the prices are going down, that locking in that long may not be the best solution for us financially, so. I appreciate it, I just wanna know a little bit more. Sure.
Yeah,
We'll do
no,
something.
no, that's definitely interesting.
So
You haven't seen the any kind of sketched out
I
contract.
have it on phone for
Okay,
but yeah.
can you send that to us?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So earlier you guys had approved the 5-year contract. So
Yes.
you're gonna hold off on that until you look at the 10-year?
So we can do this, we can do a conditional that we would approve the 10 and all of us agree
Subject to contract approval.
all of us agree to, because we haven't seen the contract and we haven't seen, you know. anything, but they're your current company, right? And you're
Yes,
you're happy with them.
The current company, we're happy with everything except for the batteries, and we didn't love the system that will be replaced by the cloud-based system, so that's gonna solve all of our problems. What I'd say is these guys have been in it as long as any of these other companies, they were the first company we ever had for in-car camera. So they've been at it for a long time, and they're one of the big names.
And I'm sorry, which company is that?
It's safe.
It's
It's called Safely, Mobile Vision is the vision that does body camera.
So.
Do we want to, okay,
So
so
I make a motion that we
amend,
additionally, that we amend the approval of the Safe Fleet Mobile Vision quote. To the 10-year contract for $79,195, subject to the board's review and approval of the actual contract.
second. Everybody good with that?
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Mike, for getting that so quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any liaison reports? All right, everybody else but this board, have a good night
Well, we're already talking about stuff.
for executive session. Yeah, but I'm waiting for them to all leave. Well, we're gonna make a motion in a second, somebody's gonna use the bathroom. I'll tell you what time it is, 7:30, 8:26. You're gonna do second that, Dan?
I'll second.
You all in favor? Okay, we're in favor.
It's the best way to give you guys that.
Give it to her and she'll give it to us.
I'll do that this morning.
And ask every board member to review it and get their answer back to you by no later than Friday at 10 a.m. Okay,
I'll tell my guy that I'll have the final answer for him at that point.
it might be earlier, but no later. Tell us Friday.
I'm glad you're on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,